If it's anybody waiting to get in or waiting to be on.
No, and you won't. We're live now, so you'll start seeing if when people click on. Uh,
Well, I mean, I can't see that part. You can only see that part.
yeah, but well, we're gonna go ahead and get started. We're kind of a few minutes early. Maybe some people will start tuning in here in the next few seconds. But we just wanted to kind of take a chance to kind of review what the schedule is going to look like. Kind of for the 24-25 season, kind of what to expect. Um, so forth and so on. And I'll let you go ahead and mention the sponsors that we've got up to this point.
Well, I want to start like with our locations. I want to thank the city of Southside and Mayor Dana Snyder. I want to thank Alpha Plumbing, Mr. D. Robertson, Elmore County Economic Development Authority, Miss Lisa Van Wagner, Cherokee Chamber of Commerce, Miss Joey Perry, and then for our championship this year, it's going to be sponsored by two locations. Again, Miss Dana with Southside, City of Southside, and Rainbow City is doing a joint effort to bring it there. Um, that'll be in November. I'm going to announce the schedule again here shortly. Uh, Also, I want to thank ACC Crappie Stick with Mr. Andy. I want to give a shout out to Jonathan and Wyatt Phillips for helping us land them for year number two. Cole and Sons is me and Wesley with a construction company. ATX Lure Company, Kyle Reeves. Sort of want to thank Jonathan and Wyatt again for helping them come on board. Outlaw Crappie Poles. I want to thank Ryan Willis, John Fomar, Scott Dees, Tim Pentecost, Derek Howard. Then we've got Coastal Alabama Community College, and they want to give a big shout out to Scott Dees for that one. And that's got our location sponsors, our sponsors. It's helped making this year be bigger than it's ever been. I'm going to go over the schedule for 24-25. We'll start out November 16th at Neely Henry Lake, Southside Landing. January the 11th of 25, we'll be at Lake Mitchell, Higgins Ferry Park in Clanton, Alabama. We're going back to Bankhead Lake on February the 8th of 25. That's going to be at Franklin Ferry Marina, and that's in Oak Grove, Alabama. March the 8th, we go into Jordan Lake, State Ramp. This won't be a split um, opportunity to fish. It's Jordan only, no Alabama River. And again, that's on March the 8th of 25. April 5th, we're going to go to Weiss Lake at Leesburg Landing. November 14th and 15th will be the state championship, and that's going to be at Neely Henry, Southside Landing. And the 13th, we'll have our meeting, our dinner, and that'll be at the same location there in Southside that we had our meeting last year. Um, that'll be on the 13th. November 14th, 15th, that'll be the 2-day event. Like I said again, Southside and Rainbow City. And then we're going to have a tournament in September of 25. It's either going to be the 19th and 20th of September or the 26th, 27th. It's depending on what location we use for their availability for that. We will announce on November 15th when we at Neely for our kickoff what the location is going to be. And that one will have a $20,000 guaranteed first place payout. That one won't have anything to do with the points, the qualifying for the state. That's just going to be called the Alabama Crappie Trail Open Invitational. Just be one division only. We can have our Division II guys come up and fish. out-of-state guys come fish. Division One, it's open for anybody that wants to have a shot at the 20,000. This year in Division One, first place is going to guarantee $2,500 per 5 qualifying tournaments. Division Two is going to pay 1,000. The championship is going to pay 5,000 to Division One, 2,000 in Division Two. We're working on sponsors, trying to make it 5 spots pay out in each division. We always pay 1 in 5, 1 spot per 5 boats, but we're going to try to make 5 payout spots this time. May not work out, but we're working on it to try to do that. And that's about all I have on the sponsors and the dates and the payouts. We will stick with the same. It'd be Division One, it'll be $175 per tournament, with 25 going to the big fish. Division Two is 125 for the tournament and 25 going to the big fish. Anything that you want to add on that part?
Well, just that, as far as any rule changes with formats, points, etc., there we haven't. Don't look like there's going to be any major changes, on that end to last year.
We're going to try to post that on October 1st to the page, just like we did last year.
Yeah.
Not much changes at all, as Wesley said. The biggest thing is we will be taking out where we had done posted last year about qualifying for NCL. That'll come out, but most everything else will stay the same.
Yeah.
It'll be a little bit because we only having 5 qualifiers this year. So actually it'll state that fish 3 of the 5 to qualify for the state, and the points race, we will count 4, your top 4 finishes out of 5. That way everybody, I guess as you call in golf, have a mulligan. So we'll count 4 out of 5. The qualifiers still will stay the same as a 100-point system. The championship will stay on the 300-point system. I thought it was very exciting last year that took that all the way down to the wire and made it very exciting those 2 days at Logan Martin.
Yeah. Let me see. The only thing we really talked about, and I guess we'll unveil that as we get closer to the season, whatever we come up with on kind of strengthening the regulations there on, when teams have to move up from Division Two to Division One to, keep a team from kind of running away with that down there, and kind of force them, kind of strengthen that a little bit. That's going to feed teams out of Division Two to Division One. So I think we got one that's already that moved up on their own this time. Felt like they was ready. So
originally, what we discussed and put in play was if you had fished in Mr. Crappie Invitational, you wasn't allowed in Division Two. If you finished in the top 10 in the points for Alabama Crappie Trail for this past year, you don't qualify.
That was in the pro division. That would have been for
in the pro division. If you finished in the top 10, you didn't qualify for Division Two.
Yeah.
Crappie Master.
We done talked on that. Add more layers to it. About possibly the state champion. They win the state championship at the classic, then they're forced to move up. Top maybe 1 or 2 in the points has to move up, kind of thing. Or if they win so many tournaments throughout the season, then at that point they're forced to move up, just to keep from having a strain of dominance there. And then I know a hot topic, that right there would go in effect for next year, right?
what we put in play the first 2 years. We
Yeah,
agreed.
whatever we come up with now wouldn't actually disqualify teams from Division Two until the following year.
Yes, yes.
So
It'll be put in place so everybody will know
yeah,
before we start what happens when you finish where. And we had a $5,000 a financial amount. If you won 5,000, then you had to move up. So
yeah, and
we'll get all of that out here shortly.
that was really the only criteria we had there. And then it's which has been a hot topic for quite some time, but it seems like the bass world, all the major bass organizations are implementing some type of forward-facing sonar banning or limiting. And as far from our standpoint, going into this year, there will be no changes. I don't even know that anybody in the crappie world is planning on making any changes or banning forward-facing sonar. I'm sure somebody at some point may jump on that wagon, but there will be no banning through Alabama Crappie Trail because most all of our tournaments, 100% of the teams that show up have some form of forward-facing sonar. Only thing me and him's talked about, like Bassmasters, they limited the amount of technology, but it wouldn't be. They kind of bottlenecked it more than we ever would. But if we did that, that would be more so of a limiting. Pro sports has a salary cap on it, so if we implemented anything, we wouldn't actually outlaw nothing, but it would be a limit to keep it from being, who's got the most money, who can put the most electronics on the boat, But even the limit that me and him's talked about, wasn't none of our teams even, it wasn't. It wasn't. It's not going to exonerate anybody that's fishing the trail now. You know, so. But as far as us banning or doing anything as extreme as, what they're doing in the bass world right now, no, we ain't got to worry about that. Because that would exonerate most of our guys if we did that, and the investments they made, you know, in their setups, and then they start banning it, But we don't kind of have the uproar either, as far as a bunch of people, pushing us to try to outlaw it. And let's just be honest, when the crappie world has had tournaments where there's been a few over the past few years that's held tournaments with no forward facing sonar, or one day with it, one day without it, kind of format. Nobody showed up, so that's kind of the landscape of it. And I don't know. There's a few I think that might would like to see go back to the spider rigging days, but at some events, but everybody's got it now, so there's no point in my opinion in going back. And the way I look at it too, from a state trail standpoint, any tournament that we limited or off limited, forward facing sonar, that's time away that some of our guys could have been learning, time on the screen. And so for the ones that aspire to go fish on the national trails, they're getting that work in and getting those reps, per se, to go compete. You look at Crappie Masters, that we had 4 of our teams, competing on championship Saturdays. I mean, well, was it Saturday or Sunday? Either way, they made the cut to fish on the final day. So, it just shows how competitive, Alabama Crappie Trail is, as a whole, the kind of anglers we have. And I feel like it's fun. It's fun for most people. So, it's a competitive atmosphere and gives opportunities for people to get better. And that's what we're trying to do, So when the Alabama boys show up, the true contenders to, at those big events, wherever those may be. So, Um, and then I guess we got for 26. I think what you got with Dowie has already tried to locked in, or they
Yeah,
ever locked theirs in?
we already locked in. I think it's March, and in 26 we won't have a split season no more. 26 will start, and it'll be all in one year. 26 will start in January and go through May. If we have sponsors to help us have the big tournament in September, we will. Then we'll have the championship again in November. Trying to get away from the cooler weather on championship where we ain't dealing with all the jet skis and the jet ski boats and the sea-doos and all of that, trying to the
Well,
wake boats, trying to get away from that.
well, a November tournaments too, and that's what we talked about. Uh, a June tournament, you're going to have more traffic. Fishing's going to be tougher. Hopefully, by having these November tournaments, typically most lakes are going to fish better in November than they do in June, and try to create some more excitement, for having championships in those more appealing times, and for those that's got kids or whatever, you're not taking a week out of summer vacation to fish a championship either. So, and there's seems like a lot of our guys, that don't show up down the stretch, it's baseball, softball, got kids playing sports. So maybe we could generate some better numbers there on our championship by having it in November. And that's one reason why we kind of shortened the season a little bit. It's a little bit less demanding, for teams to fish and try to be in the points. And I guess we had decided to still had to fish three,
Yes.
to qualify for the championship. So that'll be the criteria, is fish three tournaments. Um,
And that's what happened last 2 years when we got down to them last few tournaments. The turnout got less and less. And like you
yeah,
said, baseball, softball started up with the kids, and parents had obligations with them and didn't get to come. Then summer vacation there, a lot of people head out the first week of June, second week of June, so that hindered some that qualified that didn't show up. We just trying to make it to where we have a better turnout for the championship. Um, because we put our name on the line with these locations. When we come there and we ain't got 15 boats for the championship or 20 boats or even any tournament, it's hard to get them to sponsor for you to come back to. And
yeah,
after a while, we'll run out of locations to go to, and then we'll be back at either having outside sponsors or we'll be doing it like it used to be for the entry fee money.
yeah. Which
And also earlier in the summer or later in the summer, we had posted that if you pay for your 5 qualifying tournaments and your championship tournament up front, in full before October the 15th, you will receive a discount of $100. Basically, you'll get your 2 memberships free. And the guys that help pull these sponsors in, like ACC and Coastal Alabama Community College and ATX, you got a percentage of that sponsorship to pay for your entry fees. So all you got to do is pay the additional monies, and we've talked about that personally between the ones that's involved. But just get with me, and I can again give you the total that you need to pay if you wanting to get that discount. $100 don't sound like much, but this day and time, $100 is $100,
yeah,
and the total for all tournaments in Division One is 1150 with $100 membership for 2 people. So basically, rather 1250, you're getting it for 1150. Division Two is 850 plus the 100, which would be 950. So you're going to get everything for 850. And we've already had a few that's paid in full already and got their discount. That's just something we try to makes it easier when we got it. and don't have to be trying to collect it the week of the tournament or up to the tournament. To get it paid makes it easier, and we want to give the ones back something that, got everything together and paid in full to get started. And we had a few last year that did that as well, and we did like 10%. So this is almost the same thing as we did last year.
Yeah. And then James Trott's wanting to know if we know why anybody at Franklin Ferry why they won't answer the phone.
No, I've already had that several times asked to me. If I don't get them to answer when I'm trying to call, I got somebody in that location that's going to go over there because they just opened Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and have him to call me. So maybe in the next week, I will have a phone number. Maybe that phone number is not working. I don't know. But I know signal's not good down there, but I've left a message. I know another person or two that's left a message and ain't got a return call.
Well,
And if anybody that's fishing the trail that's got sponsors that would like to get their logo um, on the banners and things like that, for every $500 in money that they put into the trail, you will get $100 of that toward your entry fees. And we're going to take sponsors up for about another month. Far as getting on the banners, because on the 15th, 16th of October, I got to get all that turned in, be getting those printed, so anybody can come on after that. They just wouldn't be on the banner. We would post their logos on social media, but they wouldn't be on the banner, because once we print them one time, that's it for the year.
and two, anybody interested in kind of joining, kind of one thing we're going to start up. I'm not sure when the next little podcast will be, but have episodes where it's like a true podcast. Not necessarily about the tournaments and all that all the time, but get some guests to come on and see if we can appeal to more of the crappie world in Alabama. Other than just tournament fishing. Because pretty much what we've been doing and talked on and stuff like that is just all oriented around the tournament. So if they're not tournament fishing, it really doesn't spark any interest there. And so anybody that would be interested in that potentially, feel free to reach out to us, and we'll try to line up some days with my off days and stuff like that. We won't, have one every week on a certain day. It's just impossible for me to do that with how I work. But try to start fitting in, 2 or 3 a month, and keep it going year round. Just trying to add some content. Seems like the broadcast has helped us at times. Seemed like we caught some good traction in the beginning with followers, so forth and so on. And we'll work on trying to get a little bit more savvy and kind of have a commercial segment, come across for our sponsors. So it's not just us talking about the sponsors, their logos will go across. We'll be working on that in the coming weeks for the ones we have. And then as more come in, potentially we'll add those to it. And I'm going to be working on updating the website a little bit with new logos, with new sponsors and so forth. So, looks like it's going to be maybe another good year. Kind of excited. I know be quite a few people excited about some guaranteed money for Division II. We didn't really get to have that last year. But this year, have some guaranteed money there for them and some guaranteed money at the championship. So, but that's a credit to some of them Division II guys coming together and helping drum up some money there. And then these communities are in support of having the Division II. So, some of that money's came from them as well, not just sponsors. So
And talk about Division Two, I've been questioned many times since we announced we was going to have that. Years ago, everybody came in and fished in the same, and the reasoning that we decided to do that was trying to grow the trail in the state of Alabama and the interest. And there's so many people that's not going to come this day and time. It ain't like it was 10 years ago or 20 years ago. They're not going to come and compete against Shiloh and Aaron and um, Brandon Treadgill and Jonathan Phillips and some of these that's moving on up the ladder, like Wesley and his partner Collins. And, Kevin and Jessica really showed a lot of improvement this year. So they don't want to compete against them because they feel like they're just putting the money in the pot. And I know everybody's been there. Wesley started out only 3 years ago in May, I guess, when he started. And that's what he did with his, is just donate it to the winners.
Yeah.
But he had the mentality to get better. You got to compete with the best. And but there's several that fished this year that would not have fished Division One.
Yeah,
And
and there'll be several this year. But too, I think you look, it's kind of a different game now. So,
yes,
somebody can come in tournament fishing and be a really good fisherman, but they haven't perfected the new game, with
no,
the,
but they're
the
not
forward facing
comfortable.
sonar and
No,
necessarily how you're supposed to cover water, and all that. It just, that it takes time. I don't care how good of a fisherman you are, and these bass guys can sit on a podium and make these videos about how they perfected it in 4 to 5 months and do all this belly aching about how it makes it so easy, but they're continuously getting their eyeballs beat in, so they haven't perfected it. You know,
and
they
I've
can,
had calls for 10 new teams, and I've got memberships from new people already paid this year. Just going to fish the trail. They don't know how many they get to fish, but
yeah,
every tournament they do, that's just another body at that lake. It looks good to the host location. And if they get in there and they win a tournament, then they get excited and they get hooked and they come back more and more. And then that's when we're going to put the regulations in to wean everybody up
yeah.
eventually from two to one. So I think
Well,
it's a good thing. Even when I
well, I
talked
mean,
to Andy at ACC, he questioned, for about 10 minutes why I thought that was good. And at the end of the conversation, he said, I see your point and I'm 100% behind you. And then he put a little extra money into the pot because he thought that was a great idea after seeing our thinking behind that. So
well,
that's why.
tournament fishing's a little different, than fun fishing, and it took us a it's and we're still learning, and I think everybody still is, but yet to touch on that you may put forward facing sonar on that boat, and you may become effective with it in 4 or 5, 6 months, but there's going to be guys that some of these guys on the trail have got a lot of hours on that screen, picking up those details and covering water, and that's typically the difference. And then there is a group of our anglers that are really good at fishing, or better at fishing the Coosa when the Coosa's tough, you know, and that kind of when we get in those kind of circumstances, there's a select few there that they figured out a way to make them big fish bite, and you know, but Division Two gives that platform to learn those things, you know, but not necessarily just sit down there and uh, not just necessarily sit down there and beat up on everybody. It's kind of how we're going to set that up, but it is a great learning, you know, whether you're fishing in a tournament with 3 or 4 boats or 100 boats, it's still a tournament setting. So, and kind of getting into that mindset and that mode of, not trying to catch every fish, but trying to catch the best 5. So, and then Scott said he's had several from South Alabama that are planning to fish the trail. Probably wouldn't have fished the trail without Division Two to get us started. Now we got to work harder. I mean, and that's what it was made for,
Yes.
Um, and we're excited to see people come in and have success in it. Because it can be a little demoralizing. If uh, you know to come in and take those lumps. I mean, I know it was for us at times. You kind of go back to the drawing board and you don't even know where to start drawing. You just show up at the next one and kind of repeat. Now, me and Adrian Owens kind of got lucky one time, but and that wasn't as much luck as he had a good area, but that didn't have nothing to do with me. I just happened to be in the right boat on the right day with the right person, and got lucky one time and got the taste of that, and still waiting to kind of get back in that winner circle one day, maybe.
Well, the tournament I wanted to hit on in September of next year, that's going to be a $500 entry fee, but $50 of that'll go to the big fish. So, I mean, just an example, if we got 50 boats in that tournament, that's $2,500 for big fish.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean,
And
that's
there's been
kind of
some
exciting.
people that's questioned the money. Last year things didn't work out like we wanted to at the championship, but what we do is we take 10% of the entry fees out of each tournament and put that to go toward the state championship, and some of it goes into the angler of the year. Well, when those tournaments don't have big turnouts, and really our March, April, and May tournaments did not have big turnouts, well, that 10% didn't add up. And then we had a couple of people that was putting money in that backed out and didn't. So now we collecting the money up front so we don't have that issue. And,
Oh, and two, another thing, we may have burnt some bridges this past year with some host locations. So, when these tournaments come, uh, and you want to see these tournaments come back in the future without us being able to figure out other routes, to generate the money for the payouts, then promote, help us promote it, get people there, participate and support it, or there's some locations that I'm afraid from last year that, without us figuring out a different avenue, other than working with just chambers, and potentially can generate some more sponsors that we got the money to operate within the trail and don't necessarily have to depend on that money for payouts. And then,
yeah, because those people at the host location, they have to answer to their taxpayers why they gave us
yeah,
2,000 or $2,500 and we had 12 or 15 boats show up. That's
yeah,
hard to explain. So,
yeah.
and one
But
thing I'm gonna post something tomorrow or the next day. I'm looking at doing a banner for all of the guides that might want to participate, be a form of advertising. And I realize a lot of you guides don't need the advertising, but the ones that fish the trail would get a huge discount to have their logo put on that banner. And we only going to do between 10 and 20 of those. I'm fixing to talk to some people that don't fish the trail, but they guide all over the state to see if they would support the trail. But any of y'all that fish the trail, paid your membership, you would get a huge discount on that. So when I make that post, rather I guess commenting on the post and causing issues or whatever, just call me directly or text me and we'll go over the details. But that's just something we throwed in there, and if that money, whatever money we got out of it, that would go on down the line to help pay to have the meal, or maybe pay in the Angler of the Year awards, pay toward plaques because they get it costly. That most time we don't have that all factored in there or haven't had it factored in. So it's just another way to raise some money, and it'll all go back into the trail. We ain't trying to make money to make a profit. I just have fun meeting new people, the same people, and sitting there laughing, cut up, and see who comes out on top the next time.
I mean, it kind of started with that first year when we did Alabama Crappie Masters. That's kind of where it just kind of fell in the lap, and it was either do it or not have a trail. So we done it, and and kind of learned some things, and kind of decided to go our own route and kind of break away from the Alabama Crappie Masters and that umbrella, and then Alabama Crappie Trail was formed, and so and uh, it's still fun to fish tournaments, um, for us anyways, and as long as it stays that way, and seems like we're making progress, we'll keep going with it. For how many years I don't know, but for right now there ain't no plans of going backwards. We've got a lot of blood, sweat, and tears kind of tied into it to get to where it's at, and hope that we can get some breaks somewhere to generate even more of a operating cost there to have bigger payouts, potentially so forth and so on, and maybe we kind of get a break on some gas prices, lodging prices, so forth and so on, or people get some pay raises, and maybe more people can afford to show up and play. So,
Well, I want to go over our schedule one more time before I get off. November 16th of 24 is going to be at Neely Henry. January 11th will be at Lake Mitchell, Higgins Ferry Park. February the 8th, Bankhead Lake at Franklin Ferry Marina. March the 8th is Jordan at Wetumpka. April 5th is at Weiss, Leesburg. And then the championship will be at Neely Henry on November 14th. Well, really 13th through the 15th. The dinner will be the 13th. The 2-day event will be Friday and Saturday, the 14th, 15th. Want to thank these sponsors again. Dana Snyder with City of Southside, Mr. D with Alpha Plumbing, Lisa Van Wagner with Elmore County Economic Development Authority, Joey Perry with Cherokee Chamber of Commerce, and then the championship again will be Rainbow City. I haven't got to meet the mayor yet for it, but I will soon, probably when we down there in November for the regular season, meet the mayor of Rainbow City. Then again, I want to thank ACC, Jonathan and White for helping land that. Cole and Sons was me and Wesley. ATX again is Jonathan and White. Outlaw Crappie Poles is Ryan Willis, John Fomar, Scott Dees, Tim Pentecost, and Derek Howard. And then Coastal Alabama Community College is Scott Dees. Thank all of y'all individually that helped get that, because that's what we need is people that's involved with the trail and can help pull a few dollars. Don't matter if it's 500 or 1,000 or 2,000, whatever it is, it goes to the trail. It helps make it bigger. I had no idea in year one it would even be what it was in year one. Then he worked a little harder, and year two turned out to be better payouts and added a division. Now this year, we already got money in place to guarantee that first place for Division Two, and Division Ones is guaranteed. The championship money is guaranteed. So everything is getting, I say, bigger and better. Eventually, I feel like we have the potential to have the biggest trail in the South. And I realize that's a big thing to compete with Magnolia over in Mississippi. But all of the numbers is going down, it seemed like. So we're trying to make ours go up. That's why we're trying to leave the entry fees where they're affordable, and pick good locations to have the tournaments. So I want to thank all of y'all again for helping. We will announce some new sponsors here in the next month. So I've got about 8 or 9 more that's supposed to be coming across with monies. I'm not going to announce them like I did last year till I got the money in hand. So thank all of y'all individually and all of the businesses to support Alabama Crappie Trail. We greatly appreciate that, and all the anglers do as well.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate everybody that tuned in. We'll work on getting another one. Well, the next one put together, that'll be more of a podcast. We'll get somebody to come on, or, a group to come on, and we'll just talk fishing, kind of tips and tactics and electronic tips, so forth and so on. Kind of keep the topics broad. with what we're talking about, and that maybe there's some information, golden nuggets laid out there that helps somebody somewhere, and that way we're kind of more regular on our live streams and content we're putting out with that as well. So,
Well, on October 1st, I will have the rules posted like we did last year on the Facebook page.
yeah.
They're there from last year, but it'll be a little bit of changes, not many. So we'll have that, and Candace is working on the schedule to make it look a lot better than the one that I posted today, and it'll be posted on there as well. And then in 2 or 3 weeks, we'll try to have another one of these, and like Wesley said, just talk fishing on it. Have a couple people talk techniques and sonar and things like that.
Well, thank you everybody that tuned in. If y'all have any questions on anything that maybe we didn't touch on today with the upcoming season, feel free to reach out through Facebook, or I think your number's the one posted on the Facebook page, for contact there.
Well, I just did that because of the way you work.
Yeah. So, feel free to reach out with any questions. Hope that most questions maybe was answered that maybe somebody had, but and we will see y'all again next time. Thank you.
Everybody have a good night.